It's Worth It: How to Talk to Your Right-Wing Relatives, Friends, and Neighbors, and Other Books, written by Egberto Willis. Welcome to Politics Done Right. My name is Egberto Willis, your host. Good morning, Houston. Good morning, Harris County. Good morning to the great state of Texas. And of course, good morning to the United States of America. Good morning to the entire world receiving our signals via the magic of El Internet, formerly known as ARPANET. Created by whom? Created by we, the people. And we have to remember, it is time to reclaim that which is ours in every manner possible. Reclaim what is ours. We have been conditioned to accept systemic theft from us all. We have been used to having our labor stolen, our capital stolen, not because anyone has done anything illegal, but because what they have done, they have made what would normally be immoral, moral. Anyway, without further ado, let's move it on to the studio. Senor Jacques Van Beber. And is Howard in the studio today?
Yeah, he's here.
He is.
He lives.
He lives.
Yes, I'm here. It is the 5th of September, 2025 on a Friday morning at the radio. And Egberto, I have been arguing with the MAGAs again, of course, on Facebook.
Oh, God.
I can't, the more Epstein stuff that comes out, and he knows he's on the Epstein files. He knows it.
Yep.
He was buddies for him for what, 15 years?
Yep.
And all of his carnage. So, yeah. This Epstein Democratic hoax, everything's a hoax to him. He's a hoax.
Marjorie Taylor Greene is on the side of the women. Can you believe we are supporting Marjorie for something?
I was shocked when I saw that, but allegiance only goes so far until it's like, hey, wait a minute, we didn't sign up. Hold the phone here. So anyway, that's what I've been doing, along with building a gigantic music library here for KPFT. I've been going through all the old boxes upstairs, and there are dozens and dozens of them.
Thousands of dozens.
Yes, I've added 5,000 songs to the music server so far.
Oh wait, are you ripping them? Are you Wow. Okay.
I've gone through 2 boxes, and I think there's like 25, so it's going to take me a while.
Oh Lord. And how are you categorizing them, man? That's the most difficult part.
Well, there's somebody did this ahead of time. They wrote the artist and what genre of music it was, so it's pretty easy to categorize with KPFT folk music. I think there's like 6,000 folk songs and artists, and it's just really, it's a massive job, but it's going to be really good for our radio station.
Oh yeah.
The music server now has at least 1 million songs in it from all the stuff that people have put in and downloaded and shared their personal collections to just build this thing. So we're going to have a massive library, music library.
That is good. That people have easy access to when they're on the boards.
Oh yeah, it's right there in front of them. They can't miss it. Jack has a whole page of wisdom here, so I think we should get to that instead of all this prattle that's going on.
What's up, Jack?
I'm just going to do your headlines today with a few extra comments, of course.
Well, of course.
Okay.
No doubt.
A report found that 7 of America's biggest healthcare companies have collectively dodged $34 billion in taxes as a result of Trump's 2017 tax law. And of course, it's making patient care worse. A Minnesota progressive, Omar Ramirez, decries Trump's strike on the boat that he hit unconstitutional. They're using a failed war on drugs to justify their egregious violation of international law. We have a madman in the White House.
Yes,
All right. This is your neighborhood. Representative Dan Crenshaw is dogged by a collapsed town hall, claiming it was caused by Democrats and outside paid activists. No, Dan. No, Dan Crenshaw.
Open your eye.
The town hall went bad because you didn't take the time to listen to your constituents and tried to use the standard Republican talking point, lies, and they called you out on it. So don't cry about it and make excuses. Just resign. Looks like your days are numbered even anyway, even in the red areas.
Yeah, we hope
Ha,
so.
ha, ha.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
poor
it is.
Dan.
Yes, we got to make sure his days are numbered, Jack. So you keep on telling the story. You keep telling the story.
I will.
You know, yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I'm done.
All
Oh,
right.
I'm done too. Take it
You're
away,
done.
Colonel.
Oh my God. These guys are giving me all this time, and you know I love time. Anyway, look, let me tell you first of all, I I know you're laughing. It's like, yeah, that damn guy talks and talks and talks. Hey, but when I'm not on the radio, I'm listening, listening, listening. I promise you that. Anyway, folks, look. Good morning, everybody in the chat from Substack. Remember, I lose the first couple of dozen or so before I start getting things out. But I want to welcome Cowboy Hats, Marg KJ. How you doing, Marg? Great to see you here. Jane B in North Carolina. We got Cheryl Elkins. How you doing, Cheryl? Great to have you here. Barbara Fetante. I love me some Barbara. Barbara is a great activist out there. Along with her late husband, wonderful, wonderful guy. Love him to death. We spent some time in Philadelphia doing our stuff during the Bernie days, and we had great times out there. Of course, we have John Cotter, guy who fly those big birds. Hey, John, how you doing, my man? Great to see you in the chat. I'll see you when you're back in town. Margaret Ryan, welcome aboard. Judy Allen, welcome aboard, as well as Margaret Ryan. How you guys doing? And of course, we have in our other chat Anna Hart. Welcome, Anna Hart from West Washington State. And we have Lita Bearcat from Austin, Texas. A lot of folks joining in. Anyway, folks, we got a lot to talk about. A lot to talk about. But I'm going to start where Jack started. Um, Look, I have a very soft look. None of us believe in drug traffickers and all of that. None of us want that. But, we as Americans, we have our thugs. Our president is one. But we have our thugs, international thugs, thugs that go across the pond or thugs that go into Latin America and they have their own clandestine operations and they do a lot of bad things out there. Think about, let's say we had a Texas thug that is operating in, let me see, in Brazil. Let's use a bigger country, in Brazil. And Brazil tracks them to the Gulf of Mexico and right outside the 12-mile territorial waters. Of course, we claim 200 miles, I believe, but after the 12-mile territorial waters, Brazil sends in one of its fighter jets that they build on their own and blows the yacht of that guy to smithereens, and then goes ahead and get on Brazilian TV and bragged about it and say this American that has this clandestine operation polluting the veins of our Brazilian citizens. We got rid of him. And then you have the Secretary of State of Brazil comes out and he says, and that's going to be happening quite frequently. We're going to be operating in the Gulf of Mexico, and we are going to. Well, actually, let's give some kudos to Brother Trump. In the Gulf of the Americas, we're going to start blowing ships out of. That's that. Yeah, at least in the 12-mile territory. Americans would never tolerate that, and any president. I mean, that would be war. But yet, we have a boat, and by the way, the story is definitely suspicious, right? You have a boat with 11 people, speedboat, 11 people. And we know that these guys want to maximize storage for cocaine or whatever drug they're transporting. They're not going to fill that stuff up with people. That was probably smuggling human beings between Venezuela and Tobago or something like that. We don't know. The truth of the matter is, we just don't know. The only thing we know is that Trump claims that this was a drug thing and they blew it up, as if we have the right to do that, even if it were a drug hauler. Let's remember something, right? We don't. Our government doesn't like drugs. I don't like drugs, But the truth of the matter is, if you want to take drugs, and I mean this from the depths of my heart, I don't take, I don't drink, I don't smoke, I don't do drugs. Do I think that makes me, something special? Hell no. I have friends and relatives that drink and smoke, do dope. Do I think anything badly of them? No, that's their choice. And it's not only about choice, but we want to destroy people who take cocaine and all these other marijuana or these drugs. But one of the drugs that mess you up the most is quite legal out here. That's called alcohol. And we don't have a problem with it, because it's the right kind of drug to, even though it mess you up, costs our insurance is a lot of money, et cetera, it's okay. No, I don't buy into all of that. If we don't want people taking drugs, then we should create a society that doesn't necessarily encourage people to be on drugs. And you know what? That works. If we made drugs legal, all of them, and regulate it and show people the harm that it can have on people, we could regulate it just fine. Alcohol is regulated to some extent. We could do something about it. Not only that, if there's a drug problem, instead of starting a war, don't you take care of the drug problem at home? You have to ask the question, why do we kill so many people? Because we Americans have such a drug addiction. We are trying to reflect our problem on others, project our problems, not reflect, project our problems on others. You know what I think about drug dealers, folks, and I'm honest about this? I think drug dealers are the instantiation of a capitalist, right? A capitalist sees a need for something, whether moral or immoral, whether causing harm or not. And they don't take humanity into consideration. It doesn't decide if it's good for humanity. You know what? Using high fructose corn syrup in everything may not be good, but it is profitable and it is, in this case, legal. So we do it. The corporations do it. Manuel Antonio Noriega, who we killed 10,000 people to capture on the pretext that he pollutes us with drugs, or he facilitates the drug traffic from South America to the United States. Oh, it's cool. We support that because he's a capitalist, man. That's what capitalists do. There's a need, irrespective of whether it's humane or not. That is what capitalists do. That's what we do in our country. When we stopped selling ALAR in America, because finally somebody saw that ALAR, I think it was what they use on to clean up apples, so that apples don't get a lot of insects on it. I think that's what it named. I think that was the pesticide. We continue to sell ALAR anywhere else. Suppose somebody got us on polluting, on drugging our country with pesticides, that it's even legal in the United States. You see, when you look at things through an honest lens, you really have to ask yourself questions. So we are on the verge of starting a conflict because we as Americans love our drugs, and a section of the government doesn't want us to have the drugs. So instead of telling us you can't have the drugs and stop it here, we go blow it up somewhere else. Wow, makes sense, doesn't it? All right, I'm going to get off my box a bit to get to Brother Xavier. Xavier, come on in, brother.
Good morning, Humberto. I just want to add on to your box, get back on your soapbox for a second to say, I was listening to Democracy Now! And was reading that book that was by Seth Hart called the
Mm-hmm.
Fort Bragg Cartel. I just find it hypocritical that, he could set his sights on one boat versus the drug trafficking that goes on in the special forces.
Thank you. Exactly right. And we have to remember things like Iran Contra, where there's a drug component and all. I mean, you're so right, Xavier. It's very hypocritical. I wanted to take you on first, Xavier, because you came to mind when I went to a rally on Saturday. And you remember you were talking about how do we get Gen Zs involved? Well, we had this rally in Kingwood where we had about 75 people, right? And the thing about it is, most of these rallies here in Kingwood, per se, and Neil have a different experience in town where there are younger people, a lot of millennials, Gen Xers, etc. But this particular one had a lot of Gen Zs in it, and I interviewed them and put it on my site. And I told one of them that you called in to the radio show and said, "Hey, what can we do to get Gen Zs involved?" And I told her your question, and then she said, I was going for coffee. I saw you guys out here, and I said, let me join them. So, in effect, you guys are ready to be activated. And easily activated. So as soon as I saw these three young women, and these are different women from different parts of Kingwood, they just kind of coalesced out here. And there are a couple of guys as well, Gen Z guys. So you came to mind right away, brother. So I just wanted to let you know that.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate it. I'll keep trying to get listeners and whatnot. You have a good weekend.
You too, my brother. Take care. All right, let's go to Robin and then Patrick. Come on in, Robin.
Good morning. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Awesome. I had emailed you about a discussion I had, and you told me to call into the show, so I finally remembered. So I had an experience where I've been developing a relationship with a Mexican woman at Boost Mobile, and I think this was like about 6 weeks ago. She was going back to Mexico, and she was born here, moved to Mexico, comes here, works part-time to help family. So she mentioned that her nephew got deported back to Mexico, and he reported to her that in ICE detainment, he got three choices. One choice was to stay in ICE detainment for who knows how long, to get deported, or his other choice was to go to the war for the U.S. And as these topics are coming up more and more, I figured people would. I just was wondering, or reaching out to other people, wondering if they're getting the same report.
What is interesting is, and this one hits personal for me, because a friend of mine, his son, clean, he is undocumented, but his son was arrested over the weekend in Dallas. And he doesn't have,
Oh,
he
no.
has, yeah, the father has his papers together, but the son didn't. And the reason he was arrested is that he was in a bar with somebody who was doing drugs, but he wasn't or had any proximity to it, but they arrested him anyway. And when the lawyer in court made it clear with cameras in the bar and all of that he had nothing to do with it, and they released him, they actually called La Migra to come and pick him up.
Oh
He,
my.
he did he did nothing wrong or anything, but because he touched the law, the Migra
Yeah.
picked him up. And then so I contacted Fiel, one of the organizations in Houston that does a lot of work with immigrants, to get some advice from my friend. And it turned out that the law has changed. And it doesn't matter that the way they wrote it, doesn't matter if you're a criminal or not. Once you touch the legal system, meaning charged with something, they have the right now to immediately just take you. Didn't know that.
Okay, so clarification, is that a national or is that Texas state law?
No, national Trump
Okay.
law.
And then the other question is it all undocumented immigrants, or is it people even up to levels of permanent residential visas?
No. This is no. It's undocumented residency. You're supposed to be. I mean, a green card. You're supposed to be okay. A naturalized citizen is supposed to be okay, which I am. But again, we are
Right.
touching
I just
unfettered.
wanted that clarification.
Yes, yeah. We are
Yeah.
talking
That way.
about territories that we haven't seen, Robin. We don't know what's going on right now. It is, this is one of the reasons why we need to get back to a humane legal society, and not this society that, everybody, and this is what they want. They want you all looking, all of us looking over our backs. Trump has even spoken about deporting born Americans who break the law. I mean, it's sick, but hey, what can I say? It is sick.
Yeah. So my ultimate, like, I've just been feeling particularly the last few months, I feel from what I'm viewing, things that I'm seeing, I just believe that the ultimate goal is to start war. And I have a whole nother topic with, not a whole, on the same topic. I had reached out to my senator about the Palestinian genocide, and I was, okay, so I'd called him many times over the big bill, healthcare, and I've crashed a situation. I have a funny video to share with you. But he, within, I would say, 24, 48 hours, I get an immediate email with a response, and it was literally all just war propaganda that, we should be supporting Israel. I'm so glad that Trump has done the Iran attack. And so, but all those other calls that I've called over healthcare, not one response. So
APAC is powerful.
I know there's other people waiting, so I just wanted those are two personal things that I've experienced and heard about that I'm like, I just feel like that's the ultimate goal. So
APAC is amazing. Yeah. Thank you very much, Robin. Robin, I thank you for calling in with this subject, because I think people need to hear quite a bit of this. My heart goes up from
asking people questions. What were they offered during ICE? Like, let people, like, hopefully people can start telling them reporting back what's happened.
Absolutely. Thank you for this, Robin. You have a wonderful rest of your day, sis.
You too. Thank you. Bye.
All right, let's go to Patrick. I know Patrick have a good soliloquy for me. Go ahead, Patrick. How you doing, my brother?
Doing fine. No soliloquy, but before I get into my topic, I wanted to point out that when we occupied Afghanistan, that the Marines did nothing to stop the production of opium there. And in fact, AP and several other news organizations reported that the Afghanis were given or somehow got pumps and diesel generators that they couldn't afford to expand the production of opium. And a lot of people speculate that that was intended to flood Russia with heroin so that we could do damage to their society. And that was under Bush. And that's easy to look up. You can Google it, and you'll see Marines walking through gigantic poppy fields doing nothing. But the reason why I called is kind of a similar subject. It's how we treat people that need help. And I want to first establish, can we agree that we don't really demonize people that are addicted to caffeine, and we don't have rehab programs for it?
Exactly.
Okay. And it does do damage to your heart and things, but we don't worry about it as a society. It's something that we accept. And then you brought up about alcohol. It's something that we accept. That's very damaging. And people get killed in cars on a regular basis, and people lose jobs. It increases domestic violence. So as a society, we decided that we needed to lower the harm from that. Can we agree on that?
Yes, we do. Oh, yes, we do all the time.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
And can we also agree that you don't really meet ex-alcoholics? You meet alcoholics that are fighting not to drink.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I've never met an ex-alcoholic. I just meet alcoholics that no longer drink. So
Exactly.
it kind of flies in the face of free will, especially when it comes to the addiction model. But we don't really pick who we are, and a lot of people think that we do. Now, an eating disorder was brought up, and somebody asked how it was treated. Well, we treat that because the individual is harming themselves, their teeth, their esophagus, if they're forcing themselves to throw up, if they're not eating enough, they're doing damage to their organs. They have the potential of killing themselves. And so we treat that. And one of the ways we treat that is we help them understand that the way they perceive themselves isn't healthy. Now, the reason why I bring that up is we try and help them because there's a harm there. Now, we treat transgender people differently because they're not harming themselves. The harm that comes to transgender people, and the reason the way we try to keep transgender people from getting injured is that we gave them their own bathroom. We let them talk to a psychologist so that maybe they can lower their potential of suicide. They get to feel more comfortable in the skin they're in. They didn't choose who they were. They were born that way. And some people in this program seem to think that your genitalia is what dictates that. I'd like to say that those are probably people that only think with their genitalia, because your mind is so much more powerful in the decisions you make, and gender doesn't come binary. It comes in levels. So you can have some traits of a man and some traits of a woman, and a vast spectrum in between those two, and you should be able to kind of choose how you fit in, and you should be able to make a choice that doesn't make you depressed your entire life. So my point is with all these people, we try and diminish the harm given to them. We try and help them in society. We try and help them be productive people. There's nothing wrong with an alcoholic. There's nothing wrong with somebody that has bulimia. There's nothing wrong with a transgender person. They're just different than you. And that's something that people need to understand. And when you treat people differently for no reason, and you treat them with anger, and you try and hurt them, they are going to eventually lash out, and they're going to contribute less to society, and you're just making miserable people for no reason. That's all I have to say.
Well, let me tell you, that is so well put, and thank you for that. As a person who has had to atone for their own prejudices, I understand that well, and it is something that I try to preach day in and day out. I think it is so important. I mean, it is so easy to look at these things to hate instead of just letting people be. I mean, you hear the hate that comes out. You want the trans doing this or the whole. I mean, it is sick. And I put this on me. I don't want to throw this on anybody else. When I think of how I was reared back in Panama, and I'm talking about on gender issues, I'm talking about on drug issues, I'm talking. I mean, to put it bluntly, I'm ashamed that there was 22 or so years of my life, maybe closer to 24 years of my life, that I didn't understand what you just said. Okay, Patrick, it is for me. I accept that shame and I atone for that shame, right? Because it is like, my God, as a black person myself, you can see the black in me. You can't see the Latino and the Caribbean, but you can see the black in me. That has felt the pain of someone judging you just because of a pigmentation. That at the same time, I could have been homophobic and sexist is a shame. And that is because of how I was reared. Right? That is, and that's why now I give grace to everybody because I give grace to the racist. I give grace to the homophobe. I give grace to every single one while they are ignorant. But after we've taught, and after hearing what you have said, Patrick, let's say I had not gone through my transition, my change. If after hearing what you have said, I didn't change, then at that point the wrath needed to have been brought onto me. And that is the reality. And what you speak about, for those who don't see what you've just pointed out, shows a certain level of degeneracy within the mindset of those folks, no matter how they were reared. Thank you for that, Patrick.
Thank you. Have a great day. Can I just leave it with a lot of people have the idea that you should do something like pray the gay away or something like that, and their intentions are good, but that ends up a lot of times hurting a lot of people, spouses that don't understand what they're getting into. Some of the marriages can go great, but some of them go horribly wrong. And for some people, marriage is just a one or two times choice. And so when we're forcing people to make decisions that aren't within them, we're doing harm to more than just one person.
But it is also unfair. While it is also saying you have the privilege to live who you are, but I don't. And let's take it off of trans and take it off of gay. For the longest time, as a person with pigmentation, you had a privilege, Patrick, that I didn't. How is that fair, right?
I agree.
Thank you, my brother. You have a wonderful day and great call. You know, when you said you were going to call in and say this yesterday, I knew it was going to be something good. You take care, brother. All right, let's go to Coach AJ. How you doing, Coach?
Hey, brother, how are you today?
I am doing fine, my brother. How did your function go yesterday, sir?
Oh, it was Wednesday, but it went well. Probably about, I guess maybe about 4 or 5 business leaders, maybe about 2 or 3 educators, about 3 or 4 union people, and 2 or 3 clergy people. So that's a good start. Like I said, just trying to share resources to help people get on their feet, and particularly young people. Like I said to you before, graduating from high school and, no real direction,
Right.
And good kids, some of them play football, some are in the band. There's just not enough people to help connect them where they need to go.
Exactly.
Just telling people things doesn't always work. We always have to, we've all been teenagers and we have been told over and over and over again till it seeps in or till somebody makes a connection or follows up with you, and we've got too many kids just, are good kids and are in those situations.
Let me tell you, Coach, I have more respect for teachers, bar none. I mean, I just love me some teachers. And I don't know, I've told you guys that my daughter has just become a science teacher. And in the little time that she started, she's more than a science teacher to a lot of these kids. She comes home bright, tired as hell, bright-eyed about the stories with the kids that she's teaching, and things that because she's in some of the kids in her school need a little bit more attention, etc. And she comes and sometimes she's preparing a plan and she says, I want to be able to get to him because he's smart. He just have this kind of a problem. She has that same attitude that you're talking about and that you're working on, Coach, which is why I have so much respect for you guys trying to find a way out of the box to reach these kids however they need to be reached, because society a lot of times have given them a bad rap. So thank you, my brother.
Yeah, depending on where you're raised and zip codes and all that kind of stuff, man. Or if they don't look like us, they don't drive the thing that we drive. Hey, you know what? I'm as successful as anybody of any ethnic group because of the way I think and the way I try to make things happen for our kids. I mean, that's all our kids. You know,
Right.
I've taught in Huntsville, right? I mean, I've taught in HISD. I've taught in Sheldon. I've taught, I've taught all around the city. The main thing that I see, man, is just that, we've got to have better mentorship for our kids.
Well, look, I am definitely going to try to make one of your events, my brother. And also, I hope you were in touch with the pastor at the Luke. He has some good programs that he work with kids. So I know you're in this area, in my area. So check that guy out when you get a chance. The pastor for the Luke, he's a great guy.
Yeah, I go to the Luke.
Oh, you do? Okay, great.
Yeah. And we have men's. We meet the men meet every third Monday of the month.
Right.
But we also among that we also have things that drive us further than where we are. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But
I participate in everything, but this is something that's very personal to me. And I want to make sure, my goal is to try to get some of these young men mentored by some of the men at the Loop. And
well, look, Coach, Coach, we're running out of time, and there's a subject I have to cover. But I want to say, by the way, my wife is a deacon at the Luke. It's a small world. All right. Okay, I think we lost Coach. All right, let's go to Augie. Augie, I'm off to keep it a little tight because I have an important subject I want to cover. Go ahead, Augie.
Well, there's a lot of different topics that were called in this morning, but I remember growing up in the 50s and 60s when hate and prejudice was legal until the Democrats made it illegal, but still have those people with those ideas. And I was thinking also about the drug war. Prohibition, trying to stop alcohol, early 1900s didn't work. And the drug war
didn't work.
As a good idea either. And the CIA under HCW encouraged the drug war by bringing in cocaine. The CIA brought drugs into the United States and got a lot of people hooked on drugs. It was our government that did it.
Yes.
And then I was thinking about Gaza and Palestine. World War II, the Jews were kicked out of Warsaw. The Nazis did the same thing to them. And that Netanyahu and the IDF is doing to the Palestinians. They're trying to kick them out of Gaza, just like the Nazis kicked the Jews out of Warsaw.
Yes.
And so a lot of people have to be aware. But thanks for all you do there.
Thanks for informing us. Thanks for reminding us on this, Augie. Good man. And thank you. Augie, great supporter of our program. Thank you very much, Augie, which means great supporter of the world. Let's go to Brother Jimmy. Come on. Jimmy, how you doing, brother?
Fine. Yesterday, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. had a hearing before a Congressional committee. He is the head of Health and Human Services appointed by President Trump. There's been a number of editorials saying that he should resign. He's doing things that are bad for our health. He's going to cause people to die because of his rules. And a lot of people with the Center for Disease Control and so forth, they're resigning because of the way he's running the department over there in total chaos. And this all falls back on President Trump. Trump needs to fire this man. He's not going to resign on his own, even though there's been a number of editorials in the New York Times saying that he should resign. I don't think he's going to resign, but Trump needs to fire him. He's harming our health. He's causing people to die. His whole family said he's a crackpot, and he just needs to go. And it's all on President Trump. Trump needs to get rid.
Look, you're absolutely right. Unfortunately, he is the instantiation of Trump. So I don't think, my hunch is that he's not, the only way he leaves is if he brings down Trump's numbers. But thank you, Brother Jimmy. I got to go to Brian so I can get the subject started, man. Okay?
Okay, good.
Thank you, brother.
Have a good
Peace.
evening.
You too, my brother. Let's go to Brian. Come on in, Brian.
Yeah, I'm here.
Go ahead.
Yeah. Okay. I saw and read a very unusual statistic yesterday. The largest preventable homicide in black youth is homicide. It's preventable. The same thing on the white youth. It's accidental death. So most of it is by drugs on the black youth. So where's the leadership there? Trump is trying to take out the drugs that is killing the black kids, but yet Trump is a racist, right? Is this is what?
I don't know where you're going with that. We are trying to take out drugs and guns, which harm black and white kids and Latino kids and Asian kids. I don't see the racial component at all, but I don't know. I don't see a racial component at all.
No, but Trump is a racist, but he's trying to stop the drugs from entering the country.
I don't know how that has anything. You continue to bring up false equivalences. I don't see how one has to do with the other. This is a guy who, didn't rent to black people. This is a guy who wanted 5 innocent black men killed. This is a guy I can go over and over again that he tries to protect drugs that helps everybody. I don't see where that goes. But thank you very much, Brian. You get your piece in every day. Have a wonderful day, and let's go to Eddie.
Hey, good morning. How are you?
I'm good, fine. Talk to me, sir.
I wanted to have a discussion on what Patrick said with you.
Sure.
Because
go
I
ahead.
believe gender is absolutely binary.
Okay.
If people argue that it's on a spectrum, what are the traits of that spectrum that make someone woman or man?
Different hormonal levels, different behavior structures within the brain that we don't quite, as humans, completely understand. There are a lot of things that if there is somebody wired a particular way, that's how they're wired, and that's what it is. And you as a cis male, go ahead.
What does that look like? If I'm a man and I'm on the spectrum and I have strong female traits, characteristics, likes and dislikes, that doesn't make me a woman. It makes me a man with strong female likes.
Well, what happened, Eddie, is that we have defined in sort of behavioral stuff what is meant by a woman and a man. So the reality is the classification is the problem, right? In other words, we have defined man and woman as certain things, and generally people with a vagina behave with these characteristics. People with a penis behave with this particular characteristic. That's how, and we've just put it into 2 boxes. That's just how we did it. We defined it. But what we're said, nature, in nature wise, it is not just about genitalia. We have made it just about genitalia in our original and we have inculcated that into your minds from the time you were born. But we know that people have different levels, exactly as Patrick explained it. And the problem is that we have allowed our indoctrination to not open our minds that that's how things are. The mere fact that gay people look, let me ask you a question. I'm a black guy, okay? When you see me, that's what you're going to see right off the bat. You're going to see pigment. I can't change that. But if you think gay is just a lifestyle, why would this white guy who is really gay do anything that's going to that would malign himself with society today or malign herself with society today? It doesn't make sense. This is how a gay person is. This is how a straight person is. This is how a pliable person is. And I think the one thing progressives have brought to the fold is that we have to open ourselves up to understand this and not just think it's a perversion.
When you say why would they do that? Why would they choose to do that or whatever? What I'm thinking is, okay, if I'm gay, if I'm trans, if I'm whatever that is,
mm-hmm.
I feel like society might behave a certain way towards me. I'm going to find like-minded people that I can hang around with, and then that trend just kind of grows. oh, well, I'm a man with feminine characteristics. I'm not a man anymore because society's now telling me I'm a woman. Maybe I need to hang out with women. It
No, you
doesn't
see,
change.
and you see, and that is, I think, can't you accept that that may be a lack of your understanding of what's really happening? In other words, look at what you just said. You just said that
I'm a
by
man.
us, no, but here's what I'm saying. You're saying by us encouraging. I need to get to the other subject, but this is so important. Um, you're saying that because you feel that a gay person, by us accepting a gay person, we are giving them. Oh, go ahead. Correct me if I'm interpreting it incorrectly.
Yeah, I'm not saying that I'm interpreting that. I'm as a gay man, and you saying, oh, it's why would anyone make the choice? I'm saying
Yes.
they're not. They're just they're being pushed into a category by other gay people. Like maybe I'm not gay. Maybe I feel that way, but I'm not gay. But the gay group is going to welcome me in, and then I'm going to say, oh, I guess I am all along.
No.
Maybe
Think about what you're just saying, though. But think about that. You are actually putting that on them, right? You're thinking that they are so feeble-minded that they will just be, because it's easy for them to be gay, or acceptance of that somehow that changes their way of being. I think that is not giving enough credit to who they are, right? I mean, think about, I can't do that with color, but I'm going to be able to do that with mind.
No, because I think we do it with color and race and religion and ethics. When I find people that have similar beliefs, backgrounds in me, I
Uh-huh.
tend to move in that direction. And I believe you do too.
Oh, no,
To a
but
certain
wait,
extent,
there's different, right? No, there's a difference between acceptance, right? Like if I'm around Italians, right, and it kind of touches me. It's Italian food, it's Italian mannerisms, or I say Italian mannerism meaning the hand movements, all that kind of stuff. Yeah, but I think to try to make that I think you're off beat. I think you're off beat by thinking that. Go ahead.
what if somebody said, "Oh, you like Italian food? You know what? You carry a great Italian accent. You look great in an Italian suit. You must be Italian. Does that make you Italian?"
No, it doesn't. But not only that, but I don't
If
think I
you
would feel
feel
that
like
way. I think it's a false equivalence, though, Eddie. I honestly think that's a false equivalence, because again, and I think, look, I want to get to the other subject, but I think that's a false equivalence, and let's have a program on that where we can explore that deeper. But I think with somebody like you who's actually willing to civilly talk about this stuff, we can actually get places. All right.
sure, yep,
Thank you, brother.
okay, thank
Oh,
you.
okay. Patrick says he has 10 seconds. So, Patrick, make it 10 seconds, brother, please.
Yes, sir. Sorry for derailing your program. Okay, you can take brain scans, and you can determine a gender by the way the brain scan works. But in some people, maybe a female brain scan belongs to somebody with testicles. And what
Okay.
that caller is saying is because the way that they feel about that person with testicles has to be a man.
Wow. That is deep. When we have our subject on that, you're going to have to bring that up. And I'm going to need to get an expert as well. Thank you, Patrick, for that. Okay.
Have a great day.
You too. All right, folks, the subject that I do want to talk about, and it looks like I have about 6 minutes to do it. Healthcare giants have raked in sick profits from Trump tax cuts while stiffing patients. What I'm trying to, the idea behind this article is that since 2017, when Trump was in office the first time, that tax cut bill, which I had always called then the tax cut scam, had given these people huge breaks that now are being materialized. And it wasn't enough, right? They're actually, with the new tax bill, they even get more. But this now is within healthcare. So I want to point out a section of this article that lays it out, because this is important for you to know. When you hear us hitting up capital, and when you hear us hitting up health insurance companies, a lot of your insights kind of get, well, that's who we are. That's who we are. And because we've been indoctrinated into believing that this is how things are supposed to be, we don't react as we should to really cut it out by ensuring that we vote people in that prevent these things from happening. So, for tax cut supporters, for the supporters of this law, back in 2017, and even the ones that are supporting tax cuts, I want to read a piece here. It says, the law supporters, including those in the healthcare industry, argued, this is when they were supporting tax cuts in 2017 and currently, that lowering corporate tax would allow companies to increase wages and provide better services to patients. So cut our taxes, please, and we are going to make life better for others. But the report found that healthcare corporations fail to use their tax savings to lower costs for customers or meaningfully boost worker pay. Instead, they use these windfalls primarily to increase shareholder payouts through stock buybacks and dividends, and to give fat bonuses to their top executives. Stock buybacks increased by how much? 42% after the law passed, with Centene purchasing an astonishing average of 20 times more of its own shares in the years following the enactment than in the years before. So that tax cut went directly, it took it out of your pockets and put it into the pockets of the shareholders. During the first 7 years of the law, dividends for shareholders increased by 133% to an average of $5.6 billion, while, folks, your wages, remember, stayed stagnant or went down, went up a little bit under Biden, a little bit under Trump, but for the most part, stagnant. And contrary to claims that lower taxes would allow companies to improve coverage or patient care, the opposite has occurred. While data is scarce, the data of denied insurance claims is believed to have risen since the law went into effect. Now, remember what I spoke to you guys about Medicare Advantage and Medicare, traditional Medicare, and how what they want to do is now have pre-authorization in traditional Medicare, and that Trump is testing it in several states right now, or is going to start testing it in several states. Listen to this portion. The four major insurers, Medicare Advantage plans were found to frequently deny claims improperly. In the case of Centene, 93% of its denials for prior authorizations were overturned, which means they denied the patient, but when they went to arbitration, they said, oh no, the patient really needs that. Many times that is too late because the patient either dies or the patient has been sicker, will die quicker, will cost the insurance company less. 93% of the denials were overturned, okay? The others were not much better. 86% of them overturned for Cigna, and 71% for Anthem, and 65% for Humana. That just says they're doing this as cost-saving measures with the expectation that you are not going to fight them. Remember, the only ones that get overturned are the people who fight them after they overturn it, and sometimes it's too late. Salespeople for Cigna the report said that such high rates of denials being overturned raise questions about whether Medicare Advantage plans are complying with their coverage obligations or just reflexive, saying no in the hopes there will be no appeal. You hear that? Say no in the hopes there are no appeals. Salespeople for Cigna own companies Evicor, which insurers hire to review claims. Again, a private company reviewing the claims, have been boasting that they help companies reduce their costs, help insurance companies reduce their costs by increasing denials by 15%. How the hell you know to increase denials by 15% if you're not doing it ad hoc, if you're not looking at why the doctor asks for a particular medicine, for particular procedure? Part of a model that ProPublica has called the denials for dollars business. In other words, there are companies that go into business to deny you healthcare services. That's why we have to take healthcare out of the hands of the plutocracy. That's why we have to take healthcare out of the private sector, out of capitalism, because they are doing their jobs. That's the definition of capitalism. That is what they're supposed to do. Maximize profits for the shareholder. These guys are not doing anything wrong. Remember, There's no humanity in that economic system, none. And while paying tens of millions to executives, both HCA and Universal Healthcare, which save around $5.5 billion, guess where that money went? Shareholders and to their executives whose profits, whose pay went up by over 133%. Folks, you have to solve this problem. They're not going to solve it for you. And the only way to solve this problem is to elect the right people. It is in your hands, and you have the power to do it. We're not just talking hot air and complaining. You can do it, and you can start in this November in Virginia, in Maryland, and you can finish it in start finishing it in 2026. Donald, real quick, real quick.
Oh, yes, sir. So if I'm dancing around to Shania Twain's Feel Like a Woman, that means I'm funny. And, I love my ABBA and everything else, and I crank it up loud and proud. So I'm confused.
Oh, you're not confused. You are a macho man, as macho as can be, and still yet you like a lot of girly things, and I don't think you have a problem with that, do you? Have a good one, Donald. Love you, brother.
No, I don't. And women, okay, I'll talk to you later. Bye.
All right, gotta go. All right, folks, let's pass it to the studio.
Well, upon that particular subject, I have danced to ABBA myself, and and I'm pro Donald, our Donald, not the one in Washington. The Kinsey scale, it's all a scale.
Mm-hmm.
If anybody had any sense, they would read what Kinsey discovered and wrote about in the 50s. So, it's all shades of gray.
Amen. Thank you,
choice, and it's nobody
Jack.
else's business. Jack, what you got, man?
They sell us stuff that makes us sick, then they treat us for it.
There you go. Got it. Anyway, folks, remember you can get the rest of the program at politicsdoneright.com/newsletter, politicsdoneright.com/newsletter. Write me directly at kpft@politicsdoneright.com. I love you all, and I mean all of you. Thank you so kindly for listening. I appreciate that. My name is Egberto Willis. This is Politics Done Right, and you guys know how I end this baby. I am what? Out.
You're listening to the American Democracy Minute, keeping your government by and for the people. The state of Louisiana's new brief for a U.S. Supreme Court racial gerrymandering case now claims Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act of 1960